What is going on, all you beautiful and sexy people? This is Manufactured Opinion here, bringing you some more Dragon's Dogma online gameplay. And today we are going to quickly discuss the new Grand Mission. Well, new as of September 25th, 2015. And this is an important one because it drops the rare materials that you need in order to craft your second tier level 40 gear for whatever class you have, or class is for that matter. Few things to note before you run head on into this grand mission if you haven't already done so. You only need 1,000 points in order to get a shot at the materials needed to craft your second tier level 40 gear. Now what I mean by that is you only need to hit 1,000 points. The Elder Dragon gives you 1,000 points, so you could actually maybe kill a couple of the bosses, kill the Elder Dragon, and then actually quit out of the grand mission, which is an option. Now the reason I say that is because you get a lot of time to run around in this grand mission. You could easily get, if you timed how you killed certain bosses and certain enemies actually give you more time, they add time onto the timer. You could end up being in this grand mission for a long time. You could get upwards of 8,000 to 9,000 points. Now that's all fine and dandy that you get that many points because that goes to your final score, and you do need 60,000 points in order to get the top tier rewards for this, and those are needed in order to craft your tier 2 level 40 gear as well. But, and this is a big but, the rewards don't change after 1,000. The job points don't change. The crafting materials for your second tier level 40 gear don't change after 1,000 points. So it's actually more efficient to get 1,000 points, which essentially you really only get from encountering the Elder Dragon, quitting out of the grand mission, and then running the whole thing over again. You don't lose out on anything by quitting the grand mission early, so that is a huge tip I gotta give you guys. Second tip is that there is a certain route that you can run in order to maximize your efficiency so that you can get your materials as fast as humanly possible, and that is to run between the northern cave and the cave that you first encounter as soon as you run off the boat into the instance. And you're gonna keep doing this. You can run back and forth between both caves until you encounter the Elder Dragon. As I previously said, as soon as you kill the Elder Dragon, that gives you 1,000 points, and then you can quit out of the grand mission and run the whole instance over again. Now, something to keep in mind is that you can actually run back and forth between these two caves and never encounter the Elder Dragon at all. So you can keep killing lindworms and you can keep killing behemoths until you actually hit the 1,000 point mark. But that does take quite a while. So if you wanted to sort of speed things up, after you run back and forth between both caves a few times, you could actually decide to just quit out of the instance altogether and start all over and hope that you encounter the Elder Dragon on your next run. Now, obviously, this could prove pretty difficult if you're running a public group, especially if they don't necessarily know that you can run between these two caves, that you only need 1,000 points, and so on and so forth. There could be a disconnect in terms of communication there. So obviously this is going to vary, as I said, if you're running a public group, and if you actually have a clan, a sexy-ass clan, something like Aura, in order to, you know, communicate with each other and sort of decide, hey, you know what, the Elder Dragon isn't showing up here. It's going to take us a while for us to hit our 1,000 point benchmark. Let's just quit out and run the instance again and hope that we hit the Elder Dragon in the next run. So with that said, your strategy against the Elder Dragon is probably going to be the most important. Now, sort of piggybacking off what I just said about the communication disconnect that may be present in a public group, you may not be able to hit on all these points I'm about to touch on. Obviously, it would be easier if you were in a clan in order to sort of you know, work out the logistics of the strategy. But I'll just sort of go through what me and my clan found to be the best strategy for the Elder Dragon, and hopefully, depending on what class you are, you can sort of work that into your public groups, or if you're in a clan, you can sort of communicate with each other and sort of come up with the best strategy to take down the Elder Dragon. Now, what we've found works the best is, obviously, you're going to need the ice buff. And you don't want to pop the ice buff, all you shield sages out there. You're not going to want to pop that ice buff until the Elder Dragon actually gets knocked down. Now, there's a reason for that. You don't want to freeze the Elder Dragon before it actually gets knocked down, because then you won't actually be able to freeze it once it gets knocked down, and you want that freeze when the Elder Dragon gets knocked down. So save all of your force until the Elder Dragon actually gets knocked down. Or save at least 1 bar of force to pop that ice buff when the Elder Dragon gets knocked down. What we decided to use in our strategy is we took the Elder Dragon down to pretty much almost enraging, and you're going to see this all in the video, so you can kind of imitate it in your public groups or in your clan runs. We took it down almost to enrage health, and then we decided to feint it. Now that's 3-fold arrow and the fighter skill to feint an enemy. And once the Elder Dragon was feinted, me as a shield sage would put the Elder Dragon almost to sleep, pretty much all the way up to sleep. Then I'd stop and I'd jump on the Elder Dragon and help pulling down the stamina until the Elder Dragon popped out of feint, and then I would complete the sleep debuff on the Elder Dragon. Then it would go to sleep. Make sure you don't do any damage to the Elder Dragon while it's asleep, because it'll pop out of sleep and you won't get the maximum time to pull on the Elder Dragon and reduce the stamina. So once it's asleep, we pull the stamina all the way down. Then me as a shield sage just pop the ice buff, and everybody just goes to town on its face. It eventually freezes. If you can get if you have some meatloafs or some kind of meat dish that increases your attack, you're going to want to pop that as soon as the Elder Dragon gets knocked down. I mean, and then essentially you just wail on it from there. As I said, it's going to freeze at a certain point. If you have any force bars left over as a shield sage, make sure that you use Force Burst in order to freeze it quicker. But I mean, that's essentially it. It's actually, once you do it a few times, it becomes pretty easy to take down the Elder Dragon on the first knockdown. Obviously, you know, as I previously mentioned quite a few times before, it's going to be difficult, especially for any English viewers. It's going to be difficult if you have any Japanese players in your group. It's going to be difficult to communicate this strategy to them. So you can only sort of play to your class's best abilities. The best thing I could really recommend, because I don't know all the classes, you know, 110%, I really just know Shield Sage. Make sure that you have items that buff your attack for when the Elder Dragon gets knocked down. Because even if it takes you a while to knock it down, takes you a while to pull it down, at least you'll be doing more damage when it actually gets knocked down. That's one thing that you can apply across all runs. And as a Shield Sage, please use Ice. Don't use any other element. If you can sleep, if you can put the Elder Dragon to sleep while it's enraged, you know, it's just up to the rest of the party to make sure they don't do any damage to it while it's sleeping, which, in my limited experience in public groups, that doesn't tend to happen. You know, it's just, you're just going to have to kind of go with the flow if you're in a public group. But I'll leave you guys with the rest of the video if there's any video left. I've been talking way too much, is what I always do. But if you guys have any questions on the grand mission, if you're playing Dragon's Dogma Online, please leave them in the comments below. And I gotta give a shout out to the good old Aura. We got Az, Alyssa, Prox, Itchy, Rise, Sip. Who else do we had? We had Rag, Yag, Stepperoo. Thanks to all you guys for helping us, helping me test this out. We had some great runs today. It was a lot of fun. And if you guys haven't picked up this game yet, if you're too lazy, if you're in the West, if you're too lazy to kind of go through the steps to get this game, I highly recommend that you do. It's a lot of fun. I've been saying that for a while now. You should definitely at least try it out and see how you like it. But anyways, I'll leave you guys with that. I hope you're enjoying Dragon's Dogma Online if you are playing it. But most importantly, I hope you are enjoying life. And I will see you in the next video, everybody. Take care now.